like the model of a training center, but I don't want to hire anybody that doesn't know anything. Quite frankly, I don't want to hire people that have a bachelor's degree in elementary education. I want folks that all have master's degrees. I mean, I want you to have a content major or even life experience. I don't care what you did, but done something other than just comes, 21-year-old, went to school and majored in elementary education, and now you think you're going to go into a third grade classroom with kids with a range of needs that are, as wide as imaginable. So I like the idea of a foundation of something else, and then this professional training module, which, whether it be a 1 year of doing something jointly between college setting in a district with mentoring leading to this 2-year induction, or the professional degree, some sort of master's degree in education that's then coupled with this very deep, rigorous induction cohort model. That would make sense for a lot of us, given what we see as the same issues that Jesse talked about. Folks leaving quickly for many reasons once they get in it, burnout, unhappy, systems not being good to people, let's own that. Those kinds of things. So I think to have this model of an induction partnership, inside external support, would probably get us greatest traction in a short period of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let me jump off that. Jesse, I think one of the things that your program does so well is you see this as a process that extends into the time that the teacher is a teacher of record. Right? That you want a commitment at the very least to the school, and that I'm sure there's associations, affiliations with the program that once you're a licensed teacher, you're still thinking of yourself as part of your program. So let's get to the heart of the matter. Anna, plenty of room for you to push back on me. This idea of a disconnect, this idea that institutions of higher ed are not investing in their teachers once they leave their programs and enter into the school. A, is that fair? And B, is there work that needs to be done to bring the two institutions closer together?
Well, I'm not going to talk about it. I'll talk about us. I'm not going to. I mean, I think so. One of the things that's helpful in our program is, I wish I had a better cliche than this, but I don't know if it's a cliche. We eat our own cooking. If that makes any sense at all, which basically is saying, like, if we prepare a teacher, actually I should say that, we eat half of our own cooking. It's all our district. If something goes wrong, if we prepare someone that's not good, if we recommend it to that principal, it's not like we recommend it to someone that's out of state. Like, that person is someone that we want to hire our teachers. The next year they're calling us up, they're saying, so there's a built-in feedback loop which gets at, I think, a little bit of your disconnect. I have to say that one of the things that we're doing is we're beginning a process of starting a set of our own schools, in part because we want to eat all our own cooking. I mean, really, like literally have our own people say, look, if they're not good enough for our principal that we hire to run that school, then we need to do something different about the way we're preparing and really try to build that loop in. So we have tried to design a kind of 4-year program. I have to say, this is one of the reasons I was trying to say it was so hard at the beginning. There's just all these things that happen, right? Like, I don't know, district changes the reading curriculum it uses, right? Or you get people at all different schools that have totally different professional cultures. You train people to work in teams, to use data to improve instruction, and the two people who look great at that in their residency, one goes to a school where they do that all the time, and one goes to a school where they look at you askance if you even try to do that, right? So those teachers look very different in performance in their first year, but they looked exactly the same the year before, and so it's like that's what I was trying to get at a little bit before about thinking about you can't do school improvement without teacher development, because you're talking about creating, I think in some ways, a new kind of professional. But if you're not at the same time talking about a new kind of professional institution that matches that kind of professional, then that, for me, is the ultimate disconnect. So for me, the true benefit of a partnership like this would be a kind of common vision about how do we envision this whole enterprise, not just the person, not just the skills they have on day one, what it means to be a teacher, how teachers work, what's expected of them, what good teachers do. Let's have some common language and some common vision about that, and then we can work on, what does team time look like? What does a school look like? What's a pre-service preparation?
So I'm But we're gonna take the care word out of that, because we do care a great deal. Here's the challenges for us. Although it's really interesting to hear Jesse say this, although I've heard him say it before, because we're all
Less
in the
interesting
same, it's what?
I said that's less interesting. than
No,
what
we all face the same thing, no matter how much time, care, practice we put into our graduates, our candidates. They leave us and go and get work in schools at which we have, first of all, no control over which school they choose to go to. Once they get to the school, they may or may not have a mentoring program. I know, Liz, they're supposed to, but we all know that those vary drastically. They vary so drastically that we've incorporated at Bridgewater a program that the president funds for our graduates for mentoring and induction. And it's a free service that we offer to our graduates because we know they're going into schools where they don't get that. Some schools have great ones. But that's exactly right. You teach differentiated instruction, you teach database management, you teach saying you've got to continuously think about, you know, we start in our introductory classes saying to students, everything you do in the classroom impacts student learning. Everything. Whether you drink a sip of coffee, whether you have had a bad morning, everything you do influences student learning. And then they go into a school where, you know, the only thing that matters is that they're teaching to a particular curriculum that's tied to a particular test. There's not any there's not any creativity, they're not allowed to use those things. You know, I mean, we can all moan and groan about that, but that's the state of the world. What this model would do, there's still going to be schools like that, but you know, it'll take forever to change that. That's a systemic change that I'm not sure would ever occur. Would I love to be able to send all of my candidates into a system like this, where we have not only an ongoing commitment from the school and from us to build a teacher that is really good, and then we follow them and we do that collaboratively? I would love to be